I have something bombshell that I want to talk about today. We're going to talk about Amelia Bird. If you don't remember the case of Amelia Bird, I'm going to refresh your memory. Amelia Bird, at the age of 16, was involved in a tragic situation. Now, this is what AI on Google is saying. Was involved in a tragic situation that led to her parents being shot. She later accepted a plea deal and is now serving 2 life sentences amid claims of questionable investigation and potential wrongful conviction. We're going to dismantle this. Background in early life. Amelia Bird was born on April 19th, 1989 in Summersville, Missouri. She grew up experiencing severe mental, physical, and sexual abuse from her family, including her father and brother, and also faced sexual abuse from a cousin. From an early age, Amelia struggled with trauma and sought coping mechanisms, which included drug use and relationships with older men. She also attempted to seek help from various adult schools and mental health facilities, but often felt unsupported and unsafe. Her difficult childhood and ongoing abuse significantly impacted her ability to navigate complex social and legal situations. In January of 2006, when Amelia was 16, she confided in her then 19-year-old boyfriend, Chad Brantley, about her abuse at home. In a tragic turn of events, Brantley entered Amelia's family home while her parents were asleep. He fatally shot her mother, Christina Bird, and wounded her father, William Bird. Police later concluded that Amelia had instructed Brantley to commit the shootings, although there was little concrete evidence to support this claim. Amelia reportedly expressed frustration and strong emotions towards her parents, but she has consistently maintained that she never directly ordered her parents killed. Now, because she was 16 at the time, a death penalty state such as Missouri, they try it in 2 different equations. First degree premeditated murder, second degree if you're the perpetrator is above the age of 18 or under. And the reason why is for sentencing, because a minor cannot be sentenced to death. So the legal outcome here, Amelia Bird was charged as an adult for second degree murder and first degree assault. Facing the possibility of the death penalty, she accepted a plea deal and was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences, making her ineligible for parole until at least age 60. Now, Chad Brantley also pleaded guilty to related charges, including first-degree assault, second-degree murder, and armed criminal action, and received consecutive life sentences as well. Advocates argue that the investigation into Amelia's involvement was flawed and suggest that she may have been wrongfully convicted, emphasizing her status as a minor at the time and her history of abuse. Now, there have been a lot of advocacy and clemency efforts for Amelia Bird. Given the circumstances surrounding Amelia's upbringing, her age at the time of the incident, and the questions about how the investigation was handled, supporters have called for clemency. Organizations and petitions have emerged urging governmental authorities to commute her life sentence and to consider the broader context of trauma and exploitation that contributed to her situation. Now, here's a summary. Amelia Bird was only 16 years old when her ex-boyfriend shot her parents, killing her mother, Christina, in January of 2006. Her father, William, survived. She was convicted of second-degree murder and first-degree assault and is serving 2 consecutive life sentences. Her case is marked by allegations of abuse, trauma, and questionable police investigation, raising concerns about potential wrongful conviction. Ongoing advocacy exists to seek clemency and review her case. Amelia Bird's case remains a complicated and tragic example of how systemic failures, abuse, and vulnerability of minors can intersect with criminal acts, leading to long-term legal consequences, despite disputed levels of culpability. This one, I'm going to do a bigger screen. This is Amelia Bird, charged in her mother's murder, attempted murder of her father as well. Trial to begin in February of 2009. A Summersville girl charged in a conspiracy to murder her mother and father will stand trial in February of 2009. Now, this is 3 years later? According to court records, Amelia Bird, now 18, was to have stood trial beginning March 10th. This was of 2009. Just keep that in mind. However, the case has been delayed by nearly a year after her defense asked for a continuance. She is charged with first-degree murder and first-degree assault. If convicted, she could spend the rest of her life in prison. Authorities said Bird and her now 21-year-old boyfriend, Chad R Brantley, had conspired to kill Bird's parents in their home south of Somerville on Highway 17 in January of 2006. Now remember, February of 2009 is 7, 8, that's 3 years later. Her mother, Christina Bird, was killed in the shooting. Her father, William, was seriously wounded, but he survived. Court records show that the jury trial is set in Phelps County. Jury selection will occur beginning October 23rd. He is charged, Brantley is charged with the first-degree murder and could face the death penalty. Bird, who was 16 at the time of the crime, was certified as an adult and faces maximum penalty of life in prison. Bird was reportedly in her parents' home the night of the shooting and made the 911 call for help. Authorities quickly discovered conflicting stories from Amelia Bird, who alleged that a man wearing a hooded coat and a baseball cap shot her parents, and Brantley. They said the pair planned the shooting and that Brantley was standing in the sliding glass door of the home when Bird made the call for help. Both were arrested the following day. And of course, they would have that. They would have the digital and forensic evidence for such, right? And if they had enough evidence to take you to trial, I'm sure it's not alleged. I'm sure the police did a thorough investigation. Christina Bird died at the scene. Buddy Bird was taken to a Springfield hospital where he later recovered. Thank goodness. But I have some bombshell information. I have reached out to a few different people about this case, and I'm not disclosing who, but the victims in this case have told me some information, verified it, corroborated it 100%. What is true and what is not true. And I am here to tell you that Amelia Bird is lying. She is not telling people the truth when she says that her father sexually abused her, that her brother sexually abused her, or that there was any abuse going on in her home. In fact, Amelia Bird had tried to get two prior boyfriends to kill her mother and father, specifically fixating on her mother. As you can see here, Chad R Brantley is still serving time. He is 39 years old now, but he is still serving time at Southeast Correctional Center in Missouri. Keep that in mind. He is still locked up, so is Amelia, as they should be. As you can see here, Gypsy Rose Blanchard was incarcerated with Amelia Bird and became friends with her. She has loosely and lightly advocated for Amelia Bird and for clemency for Amelia Bird a few times since she was released on December 28th of 2023. And I have been here since before that. Trust me, I remember it all. But recently, she also posted on her Instagram, after wiping it completely for a 15th time in the time that she has been released, she first posts this back to her new and revived Instagram. This post right here. And it says, "Please help support clemency for Amelia Bird. I'm asking you today to help shine a light on someone who truly deserves a second chance at life. Amelia Bird, DOC number 1185155, who is currently incarcerated in the state of Missouri. Amelia was just a young woman when she was charged. While no one is denying the seriousness of her past, it is also clear that the sentence she received was far too severe for someone so young and impressionable. She has now served many years, more than enough time to reflect, grow, and prove her transformation." We're going to get to that in just a moment. During her incarceration, Amelia has shown remarkable strength and growth. She has maintained a record of good behavior, participated in programs such as Puppies for Parole, and consistently demonstrated kindness, accountability, and a sincere desire to live a better life. Now she is asking for mercy, not to erase the past, but to build a future. To add any of this information here, please mention Amelia Bird, DOC. Your voice matters. Every voice matters. Your letters could help give a woman who has already suffered so much and served so much of her life in prison a chance to live the rest of it in freedom. Let's stand up for mercy, humanity, and second chances. Hashtag justice for Amelia Bird. Hashtag clemency now, but Gypsy spelled it wrong. She forgot the C. Hashtag second chances matter. I'm going to get into this first part very quickly, that nobody's denying the seriousness of her past. Nobody, right? She served many years, but she has had time to reflect, grow, and prove her transformation. Amelia Bird never mentioned or made false allegations against her father and her brother for sexual abuse or any kind of physical abuse by anybody in her family, let alone a cousin, until recent years. And the reason for that is because she met somebody like Gypsy Rose Blanchard, who also had a false abuse narrative and was garnering mainstream media attention and was utilizing that mainstream media attention to keep perpetrating that lie because she was incentivized. If every criminal was to sit there and come up with an abuse story, of course, they're going to try to do so because they're incentivized. They're motivated to lie in hopes that they will be granted parole or that it will give them an out. But I'm telling you now, abuse doesn't mean you're allowed to kill anybody. And that wouldn't make any sense either which way in Amelia's case. Her father and her brother did not sexually abuse her. Her cousin did not sexually abuse her. In fact, people that went to school with Amelia Bird, staff that worked at the schools that Amelia Bird attended throughout her childhood, have come forward and have said that Amelia Bird was not only manipulative, but she has a long history of this behavior since her early childhood. I have talked to the surviving victims in this case, and I have looked into this and I have verified and corroborated a few things that I think you would want to know. First and foremost, Amelia Bird confessed to law enforcement investigators. She absolutely confessed what she did. And she had to, because her boyfriend also confessed and told law enforcement investigators that this was Amelia's plan. She is the one who orchestrated this. In fact, she was very fixated on killing not just her parents, but specifically her mother. And she had tried before to get 2 separate boyfriends to do it. And yet when it came time to actually carry out this plan, both of them refused and failed to participate. I have spoken directly to the victim in this case, and they were able to tell me 100%, that this podcast with Maggie Freeling, and this is nothing, I have nothing against this podcaster. This podcast right here was transcribed and was given to a victim to look over. And they highlighted all of the parts that were truthful and the ones that were not. And what they concluded at the end of that transcript of this particular podcast, less than 5% was based in truth, was based in forensic circumstantial case evidence, what really happened, what really occurred. This is going off of what Amelia Bird has been saying to podcasters, saying to people in the mainstream media, in the hopes that she can be resentenced or get a lesser sentence for what she did. But I'm going to say something very extraordinary, and maybe, just maybe, some people might not agree with me, but when you rape somebody or you murder somebody, you deserve to rot the rest of your fucking life in prison. This isn't some petty little larceny. This isn't some petty little mistake that a teenager wasn't thinking about and made. You're talking about the deliberate ending of somebody's life. There is nothing you can ever do that's going to fix that or make amends for that. Doesn't matter if you were abused or not. You don't get to kill people. And this person who did this podcast with Amelia might have had the best intentions, might have meant to actually try and help because they believed she's rehabilitated and reformed. But I want to post this question to you. Answer this. If Amelia Bird is reformed, why is she still lying? Why is she now making up false allegations of sexual abuse that did not happen? If she is reborn, rehabilitated, reformed, changed, transformed, why would she still be manipulating and lying then? Why is she now trying to blame her own victim for what she did? Ask yourself that. On February 27th of 2023, this podcast, which has less than 5% truth in it by the surviving victim of this case. Less than 5% truth. And this is everything that's wrong with true crime, is that it wants to incentivize the criminal by giving them money and attention and giving them outs for negating and projecting responsibility for their crime, their actions, words, choices, and behaviors onto other people, even their own victim. Isn't that kind of crazy when you stop and you think about it? This podcast says, as a child, Amelia's family members severely abused her. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. In fact, that is a newer claim that Amelia Bird has made in the last few years that she has never made before. And police have never charged nor arrested anybody, not her brother, not her father, for any kind of sexual abuse, nor do they have any criminal record or history for any kind of sexual abuse. She is lying. Mark my words. Amelia Bird is lying. She resorted to drugs and relationships with older men as coping mechanism. She did exactly what Gypsy Rose did. She went through men till she found one that she could manipulate enough into carrying out her murder plot. In January of 2006, when Amelia was 16, she confided in an ex, Chad, who was 19, about her suffering. No, she was fixated on killing her mom. And that's exactly what they confessed to law enforcement officials, to detectives. Anybody's free. Go get the FOIA. Go ahead. Get a Freedom of Information Act. Get the whole case file. Put it out there. Everybody, start covering the truth. Because the truth is what it is. Then in an effort, after they broke up, to win her back, Chad entered Amelia's family home where they were all asleep and shot her parents. Her father survived, but her mother was killed. Despite the lack of hard evidence and questionable investigation of police, they had decided that Amelia told Chad to kill her parents. She confessed. She confessed, and Chad confessed to law enforcement officials. Absolutely. She does not get to change the narrative now because she wants to change it to hopefully get parole one day. She deserves to spend the rest of her life in prison. So does Gypsy Rose. They are the worst of the worst. Evil, lying, manipulative people that use other vulnerable men, disabled men, to do their dirty work and their bidding for them so they can step back and say, wasn't me. I didn't do it. That's a weird phenomenon that often happens with female killers and serial killers. That's why a lot of times they like to use means for their crimes that are very hands-off, like poison. Oh, I'm not the one who did it. I didn't kill that person. They're the ones that drink the poison, even though they're the person, because it's one step removed from actually doing the crime. But it doesn't matter because the Missouri statute for first degree premeditated murder, even second degree, for first degree, it is anybody that knowingly causes the death of another person upon deliberation of the matter. That is what it says, and it's separated by 18 and up and under 18 for sentencing reasons. But when she knowingly tried to get 3 different boyfriends to kill specifically her mother, but her mother and her father, it begs the question, if her father was the one and her brother was the one that was abusing her allegedly, why was she fixated on killing her mother then? And why did her brother not get harmed. Think about that. But I have 100% confirmation from the surviving victim of this case that the sexual abuse allegations are false. They are a lie. And that Amelia Bird 100% confessed to her involvement, her plan, her orchestration to detectives. And not only that, she admitted that she had tried to take her parents' life with 2 prior boyfriends, both who would not do it when the time came to actually do it, before she and Chad orchestrated the killing of her mother and the attempted murder of her father. It now says that after being threatened with the death penalty, Amelia accepted a plea deal. No, because she knew that at trial they have enough evidence to literally put her to the death penalty. She took a plea deal to serve life. And that's the very least that she deserves. It's the very least that Gypsy Rose Blanchard deserved. Amelia accepted a plea deal. Now serving 2 life sentences, clemency is her only hope. And do you want to know what the victims and the family of the victims have to say about exactly that? I'm going to let you know exactly what they have to say about that. Amelia Bird confessed. She 100% planned and carried out this plan. She planned to have 2 other boyfriends kill her mother specifically in previous years, but they refused when it came time. She finally found and manipulated somebody to do it. This abuse that has come about in the last couple of years was never mentioned until she was in federal prison. We're going to get to something. George Jung, the man that Johnny Depp played in the movie Blow, was based on a real story. And do you know what he said when he started getting into selling drugs, specifically marijuana, and what he was charged for? He said that he went into prison with a degree in marijuana, and he came out of prison with a doctorate, with a PhD in cocaine. Do you know what he meant by that? That he was a little petty criminal when he first got locked up. But the hardened prison system, being around so many different hard criminals, heinous criminals, evil criminals, that actually taught him during his time in prison to be a better criminal, a better liar. And that's precisely what happened when he got out and went from a little street drug dealer of marijuana to one of the biggest traffickers of cocaine in the world. We are sure that her fellow prisoners taught her to say that and to try the abuse angle. When we took the transcript from said podcast and highlighted everything that was truthful in it, based off of case evidence and what really happened, less than 5% of the entire transcript was highlighted. Amelia Bird is a bold-faced liar. She wants to play the victim card now to hope she gets clemency or can get out. But the truth was she was a very loved, very beloved, very spoiled and entitled daughter. Make it make sense to kill your mother if something was happening by the dad and the brother. And why would the brother remain untouched? Really think about that. They continue on that we wish that we could be left out of everything. Unfortunately, this is our life. We have lived with so much trauma. And with these podcasters and the situation on our family, we have to keep fighting to keep her incarcerated as long as possible. Because she needs to pay for what she did. There's also a part that says, we know of Gypsy Rose and her affiliation with Amelia. There's nothing that we can do about the kind of stuff that is put out by podcasters and the true crime community except for prayer. People that surround Amelia growing up, people that worked at the school, her friends, people in the neighborhood, knew how she behaved at school and how she behaved around family and friends. Amelia is pure evil. And prison is where she needs to spend the rest of her life. I truly do believe that if Amelia ever gets out, she's not only going to do it to us again or to another family, but that no one deserves to go what we have gone through. I'm not going to stop myself right there. Not going to read that part. Thank you, everybody, for your love and your support. When things like this happen, there is no one to stand up for the innocent. No one to stand up for victims who survive. They can just say whatever they want on a podcast, on mainstream media, on a reality show, on an interview. And the rest of the world not only believe it, us victims have to sit in silence, suffer in silence, and accept it. And to that, I wanted to let them know that they have an immense amount of love and support, truth, here. And that this is a wonderful community that does nothing but try and speak the truth through facts. And Amelia Bird has not been speaking facts. In fact, it is a big proof, evidence, that her lies of sexual abuse by her father, her brother, and a cousin now are fabricated in hopes that she can be released. In hopes that Gypsy Rose Blanchard and the attention that she received might somehow earn Amelia Bird parole one day, or possibly clemency. But the truth is, Amelia Bird is just as dangerous as she was the day that she was arrested for killing her mom and attempting to kill her dad. Amelia Bird has not been rehabilitated or reformed in any kind of way, shape, or form. And the proof and the evidence to that is the fact that she is lying, that she is not taking accountability, that she is still making up false allegations that did not happen. Now, do I want her to do good in prison? Absolutely. Make your life count. If you want to atone, you're going to have to do it while you're serving your life in prison. And if you want to make your life count, then make it count by doing something good on the inside for other people, other prisoners. But continuously lying about abuse that didn't occur is not only heinous, it's not going to get you free. The truth will always be exposed, no matter what. God protects the truth, and God protects those who speak it. He is not going to protect those who are lying. Not forever, and they're not going to get away with it forever. So when it comes to the case of Amelia Bird, if at any point in the future, the victims and the family ever have to come to go into the governor, go into the president, go into the legal system, and they need support, they can always come here, because I know this community will always have their back. And that is very powerful, because if her own family and her own victim says that she is pure evil, and she is lying, and she is manipulating podcasters and YouTubers and TikTokers and people in the true crime community to try and get out, that they are deathly afraid of the fact that she would do it again. She would not only try to come after them, but do it to another family, and that she hasn't changed. Then you need to believe what the victim says, because that carries more weight than what Amelia can ever say. And this is the type of person that Gypsy Rose Blanchard is affiliated with, that she likes to associate with, and that she is trying to use her platform to tell other people to write in letters of clemency for. It's absolutely astonishing. And I know people have reached out to, on JPay and Secures, whatnot, to Amelia and have talked to her. In fact, Gypsy Rose and Amelia weren't even friends for a good section of 2024. Yeah, because Amelia was upset that Gypsy wasn't using her platform and her reality show and her sit down with the Kardashians to talk about her story. Because she wants her story to be spread as big as possible. But you know what? God doesn't do that. God is not going to give you an opportunity to spread such an evil, heinous lie like you were being sexually abused by somebody when you were not. Because it doesn't make Amelia Bird any less culpable for what she did. And she has no chance in hell of ever being granted parole or clemency until she fully admits what she did. Because she confessed. She confessed that she orchestrated all of it and planned it out. She is the one who pulled her boyfriend Chad into it after trying to get 2 other boyfriends previously to do it. And she was hyperfixated on her mother. Not a brother, not a cousin, not her father. Unfortunately, her father and her brother have suffered immensely. And it's about time that people in the true crime community start focusing not on the perpetrator, because what you're doing is giving a platform and a voice to a heinous criminal to continue to victimize their victims. And that is despicable. That is being complicit in evil. That is participating in evil. And it has to stop. And it absolutely has to stop. And if any point in time that her family or her victims need help or support, I told them that they can come to us because we will have their back, no matter what it is that they need. And I intend to honor and to keep that. But I'm just letting you guys know, 100% confirmed, Amelia Bird was not sexually abused at all. She was not physically abused. She was not even mentally or emotionally abused by her family. In fact, she was very well taken care of. She was very loved, very beloved, very spoiled until the day of her crime. And Amelia Bird absolutely confessed to law enforcement. So that whole defamation, slander, and libel of law enforcement officers making it up and framing her is bullshit. People don't realize how much a lie hurts others, because you're now getting into the territory of defaming, slandering, and libeling not only the court system, but the officers that were a part of the investigation. And that's just evil. It's just evil and horrible, because police officers are people too. There's a lot of corruption. But focus on corruption and prove corruption. Don't run some criminal's lie in mainstream media. If you want to show that there's corruption, show it. And nobody's been able to do it in this particular case because it's not there. It's just not there. And that's all I have to say about that. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. I love you all, and I will see you all on the flip side.